back on First Up Philippines. With the U.S. Federal Reserve widely expected to raise rates next week, the Philippine property sector is already gearing up for its effects. Christina Lazo has the story.
Property developers are bracing for the looming U.S. Fed hike. The sector is vulnerable to higher rates as this would discourage borrowers from taking loans to fund homes and office purchases. Newly listed Italpinas Development Corporation says its game plan is to develop projects in stages so it won't have to spend a huge amount of money for long-term projects.
We conceptualize a big project, but we develop by phases. So just in case there would be a downturn in the economy, we are able to wait and see.
Conglomerate FINMA is reducing its exposure to foreign loans, a surefire way to survive higher borrowing costs and a weaker peso that may happen once Fed rates start going up.
We try to minimize our liabilities that are not in pesos. So in many of the major projects or acquisitions we've done where we have needed financing, for example, some of our power plants, we've tried to put the financing together in pesos so that there is no vulnerability to external currencies.
But there are subsectors within the industry that remain sanguine despite the looming rate increase. Property consultant firm Jones Lang LaSalle says the BPO and commercial sectors are the industry's bright spots.
The BPO sector remains to be an outstanding driver of growth for the property sector, specifically the commercial property sector. And in the next couple of years, we will be able to maintain our competitive position against other markets who are also trying to make it big in the outsourcing industry. But our advantage is really on the lower cost of our labor, not to mention the soft skills that these BPO companies are looking for in their agents.
The Fed is largely expected to boost rates for the first time in a decade next week, but there is no need to be alarmed as long as companies have taken the necessary steps to minimize the risks. Christina Lazo, Bloomberg TV, Philippines.
Here's a look at some other corporate news. The SEC has granted Buelo's request to upsize its initial public offer to 105 million pesos from 95 million originally. This is the casual dining operator's second such attempt. Proceeds of the maiden share sale will be used to open 14 new branches in the next 5 years and to better market its brand, Mario's Kitchen. 10 billion pesos worth of debt notes were issued by construction firm DMCI to institutional investors. The new bonds come in 5 and 7-year tenors, maturing in 2020 and 2023. Funds raised will be used mainly for DMCI's land bank expansion, as well as project development and debt refinancing. And there seems to be no stopping MegaWorld. The developer says it wants to add at least 100,000 more square meters of new office space and retail spaces next year. MegaWorld expects the real estate sector to remain bullish next year amid the volatile environment and the possible hike in the industry's interest rates. And that does it for corporate news this hour.
Speaking of MegaWorld Senior Vice President Jericho joins us in the show. Now, MegaWorld is still very bullish about the office sector. Property analysts have been coming here and saying they see a glut in office space. Why are you still so bullish?
Well, first of all, I think we're basing this on experience. In our project in Uptown Bonifacio, where we have already constructed 4 towers and they're in various stages of being turned over, we've already fully leased out the 3 towers there, a total of about 100,000 square meters of space. And we remain bullish because there continues to be strong demand from our existing tenants who are expanding. And that's why I think we also mentioned earlier that we are continuing to accelerate more BPO buildings in our McKinley West project.
But until when do you see that growth coming in? Because they're saying that by 2016, 2017, vacancy rates will reach double figures.
Well, actually, I don't know where that's coming from, because as far as MegaWorld is concerned, we can see that there continues to be very strong demand. And that's precisely the reason why we said that at the very least, we're going to put up 100,000 square meters of office space year on year. And in terms of visibility, I think we see 2016, even 2017 as exhibiting strong growth rates in terms of office take-up.
Where will that 100,000 office spaces be? Will that be concentrated in Metro Manila and BGC?
We will have strong presence in Fort Bonifacio. We have three main township developments there that have office projects. That's McKinley Hill, McKinley West, and Uptown Bonifacio. So definitely a large stock of our office inventory will continue to be in Metro Manila. But we also have growth outside of Metro Manila in the Visayas, like in Iloilo Business Park and also in Cebu, the Mactan New Town. So we believe that these are going to continue to spread even to the provinces.
Now, you also are bullish with respect to the retail sector.
Yes.
Aren't we overmalled?
I don't think so, because again, the unique feature of a Mega World Township is that the malls actually they support the captive market, which is the BPO. As a matter of fact, when we did our very first IT park in Eastwood City, it became a game changer because used to be malls only operate like 12-hour days, but now it's like 24 hours. There's technically 2 happy hours already, 7 in the morning and 7 in the mid.
Okay, speaking of that
evening.
IT park, it also Mega World also initiated this concept of a
Correct.
township concept.
Yes.
How has that helped Mega World? How does it work here in the Philippines?
Well, it has worked very well. A lot of people are not aware, but Mega World developed the very first IT park, integrated urban township community, way back in 1997. This was in Eastwood City Cyber Park in Quezon City. So we got our PESA certificate, our license in 1999. So the live, work, play, and learn model has created a captive market for the retailers, and it allows people to live where they work. So in a sense, this is also a precursor to the green revolution, or leadership in energy and environment design, or LEED for buildings, because you help save fossil fuel, no? So you lessen the carbon footprint by having township developments like this.
They say Mega World is expanding from 15 to 20 new townships.
Correct,
Where will
yeah.
these townships be? Will you still be focusing on Metro Manila?
Well, we have the 5 new townships that we've introduced this year. We have 2 actually in Bacolod, Upper East and North Hill, and 1 in Iloilo, which is the Santa Barbara. So that's in the province. And in Metro Manila, we have the West Side City in Parañaque, and in San Fernando in Pampanga. So those are the 2 additional 5 townships that we have launched this year.
Residential has also been seen to be having a slowdown. What's your take?
Definitely, I think slowdown is a very strong term to use. I would refrain from saying that because as far as Mega World is concerned, our residential sales were steady. No? What we need to clarify here is that I think when you take the side of caution, you just need to be aware about what's happening. I think earlier there was a report even from Bloomberg that you mentioned about the Fed rate hike and everything. But again, Mega World as a responsible business owner, no? I mean, we continue to maintain an optimistic approach in terms of residential sales, and we're on target in terms of residential sales. So I don't believe slowdown is an appropriate term.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jericho. Still still a lot
Yes.
of optimism from Mega World.
Thank you very much.
Still to come, a Bloomberg exclusive. Close to 1,000 trees were illegally cut in Cebu to ironically make way for a solar-powered plant. And a pioneering format for tennis found a home in the Philippines, bringing the biggest stars of the sport to our shores. You're watching First Up Philippines. The Environment Department says a solar company in Cebu cut down over 980 trees to make way for a plant. Bimbo Santos has this exclusive.
The DENR is calling it one of the worst environmental violations in the country.
Ito talaga pinaka so far worst na destruction sa mga forest resources natin.
Close to 1,000 trees were cut without permit in Barangay Talavera, Toledo, Cebu, according to an investigation by the local DENR office. Ironically, the area, located in a private lot, was reportedly cleared to make way for a 60-megawatt solar-powered plant. The DENR officer who investigated and took footages of the trees confirmed the incident.
Nakita namin doon na talagang mayroong illegal cutting of trees. Grabe talaga yung destruction.
The felled trees include various species such as Nara, Acacia, Mahogany, but the most valuable was a century-old lamio tree with a base so huge it took 4 people to encircle it. The DENR estimated that the cut trees amount to nearly 19 million pesos.
Based sa Presidential Decree 705 o yung Forestry Code of the Philippines, Section 77, dapat may tree cutting permit kahit na privately owned ang lugar.
DENR already filed a criminal case at the local prosecutor against project proponents Sun Asia Energy, Santa Clara International Corp., and First Toledo Solar Energy Corp. The Community Environment and Natural Resources have issued a cease and desist order or CDO to stop the project from further cutting trees and undertaking excavation works. Toledo Mayor Janos Mena has also issued a CDO because of alleged lack of permits from the LGU. Bloomberg TV Philippines tried to view the operation site in Toledo, but we were warded off at the entrance. Sun Asia President Techi Capellan also declined to be interviewed, citing the pending case before the prosecutor. In a statement sent to Bloomberg TV Philippines, Capellan denied any tree being cut and stressed that the renewable energy project will be tantamount to over 1 million trees being planted over the long term. Bimbo Santos, Bloomberg TV, Philippines.
Let's take a quick look now at other national news. President Aquino makes a last-ditch call for the passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law before Congress goes on a Christmas break. Some 150 congressmen, along with House Speaker Feliciano Belmonte and Majority Leader Neptali Gonzalez, attended Tuesday's meeting in Malacanang. Belmonte earlier made an appeal to Congress members to attend the remaining House sessions for 2015 to ensure the passage of priority bills, including the BBL. More Filipinos are optimistic, believing that their quality of life for the next year will likely improve. A recent SWS survey showed that there are more optimists at 46% compared to the 5% respondents who expect their condition to worsen. A total of 1,200 respondents were surveyed as part of the November 2015 nationwide survey for voter preferences. And the Supreme Court junked a petition seeking to extend the deadline of voter registration to January 2016. The tribunal dismissed the plea filed by the Kabataan party list, saying it lacked merit. The party list early obtained a stay order indefinitely stopping the COMELEC from deactivating records of voters who failed to obtain their biometrics. And that's the latest around the nation.
The Energy Department and local engineers warn consumers not to trust power-saving devices. Michelle Orosa Ople has more.
For 2 years, Teresita's family has been using this plug-type energy saver they bought at a mall. At 3,000 pesos, the device has essentially already paid for itself through huge savings. She says their usual 4,000 peso bill has already gone down to as low as 1,600 pesos as a result of using the device.
Nabawi na namin yung pagbili namin, tapos doon sa nasisave namin sa kuryente.
But the Department of Energy warns consumers like Teresita may have been misled. The agency released on Tuesday results of tests it had conducted on an energy saver brand the DTI had asked it to examine. After extensive tests, the DOE found out that the device's consumption of energy did not change with or without the energy saver.
Hindi naman talaga bumababa yung wattage. Na yung wattage, ito yung binabayaran natin sa ating mga utility, halimbawa sa Meralco. Yung analogy, yung tubig, pinupuno mo yung 1 drum na tubig, maaaring bagalan mo ang daloy ng tubig. Ang nangyayari dyan, ang babayaran mo pa rin naman yung 1 drum na tubig.
A group of engineers also took a shot at testing the energy saver. This is what's called an integrating sphere. It is in this controlled environment that different types of light bulbs or fluorescent lamps are placed and connected to energy saver devices to see if consumption is actually reduced. Their results reflected the same observations of the DOE. The experts warn continued use of these so-called power savers may also damage appliances in the long run.
Ang ginagawa lang nito mga energy saving device, maaaring ibinababa niya yung power papunta dun sa appliances at ang nangyayari naman, bumababa naman yung performance ng appliances.
Mga energy saving device ngayon external sa equipment eh. Kailangan part siya ng system. Kagaya ng mga inverter. Ang inverter kasi pagka mababa na ang temperature, so binababaan rin niya ang takbo ng motor.
The DOE and the Institute of Integrated Electrical Engineers will be submitting their individual results to the DTI for further action. Michelle Orosa Ople, Bloomberg TV, Philippines.
According to the amended Fisheries Code, commercial fishers with larger boats will only be allowed in high waters, leaving municipal waters to artisanal fishers. The new law also requires commercial fishers to install a vessel monitoring system. The world's largest marine conservation organization, Oceana, is now piloting the use of these tracking systems along the Tanyan Strait, spanning Cebu, Negros Oriental, and Negros Occidental.
Ang ginagawa ng Oceana is popularize it para maintindihan ng local government units, which are the primary enforcers sa ating municipal waters, how it operates. And this is definitely cheaper, pero not as cheap as we would like it to be. It's really to help government in crafting the implementing rules for the vessel monitoring measures, which under the implementing rules and regulations ngayon will be done within 1 year from September.
Up next, will the International Premier Tennis League gun for a third year in Manila? Find out when we return. Watching First Up Philippines, revisiting our top stories. Lawmakers reconcile differing versions of the budget. Senate President Franklin Drilon says the record funding will be ratified today. The budget's 3 trillion pesos, which includes the pay hike for government workers. Property developers are bracing for the looming U.S. Fed hike, reducing foreign debt exposure. The sector is vulnerable since higher rates might discourage borrowers from taking loans to fund home and office purchases. But BPO and commercial spaces are still seen to remain growing. Megaworld will not be stopped by the rate hikes though. The urban township pioneer plans to add more retail and office spaces to its portfolio. Megaworld expects the real estate sector to remain bullish next year amid the volatile environment and the possible hike in the industry's interest rates, and plans to add 100,000 square meters of leasable space next year. Let's now see how U.S. markets close. Ramy Inocencio has the wrap from New York.
U.S. markets closed down for the second day in a row Tuesday. China trade data weighing on investor sentiment. The Dow was the biggest laggard, down about 1%. The S&P closed 2/3% lower, with materials, industrials, and energy stocks the biggest weights. Crude saw a volatile day in New York trade, first hitting a low not seen since February 2009, but then paring back most of its losses. Now, with stocks lower, the VIX reacted by jumping several percentage points. That was in contrast to its steepest drop last Friday, when equities rallied more than 2%. Now, looking at specific stocks, Alexion Pharmaceuticals was the top performer in the Nasdaq 100. The biotech firm's drug called Kanuma, which treats a rare deadly genetic disease, won approval from U.S. regulators. But transport stocks didn't do so well today. Southwest Airlines fell 9% after it cut its forecast for its fourth quarter unit revenue. That was its biggest fall since May 20. All in all, a down and very volatile day in Tuesday trading. Ramy Inocencio, Bloomberg News, New York.
The man behind the stunning furniture that greeted world leaders at the recent APEC summit is not going easy on copycats. Dale De Vera has the story.
Kenneth Cobanpre is famous for his one-of-a-kind furniture designs, but unknown to many, he is also championing the cause against intellectual property rights violations in the country. Along with Tagaytay court officials, he oversaw the destruction of fake Cobanpre-designed furniture, including the coveted Yoda chairs that were used by heads of state during last month's APEC summit in Manila.
It's high time for our country. No? We want to be the creative capital of Asia and the world. No? That we have to protect our own design industry.
Cobanpre says this proved that the government is serious about enforcing laws against counterfeit products.
That it's finally a victory for intellectual property rights, no? For not only for myself but for all the designers in our country. Your creation is like your children, parang kinidnap. So I felt really disheartened.
Aside from the Yoda chairs, other fake Cobanpre designs that were copied and raided include the Dragnet, La Luna, Yin and Yang, and the Voyage bed. Cobanpre's lawyer says the owners of the store RSK Furniture Center, where the fake items were being sold, were charged with violation of the Intellectual Property Code. RSK Furniture was raided in 2013, but the destruction of the items seized took place only yesterday because Cobanpre has to secure another court order to destroy them. Cobanpre's lawyer says since the raid 2 years ago, RSK Furniture and other shops in Silang, Cavite had stopped selling fake Cobanpre furniture.
Compared to the last time before the raids, less na yun talaga yung fake. Actually, I was trying to observe dun sa Tagaytay Road kung meron pa rin nagbebentang fake furniture. So far, wala naman. They're using furniture of their own designs, not Mr. Cobanpre's design.
The raid in Tagaytay won't certainly be the last. Cobanpre has pending cases filed to protect his designs at courts in Cebu, Pampanga, and Taguig, and he is committed to pursue them to the end. Dale De Vera, Bloomberg TV Philippines.
Reg and JB are here to discuss big news. LeBron James signing a lifetime contract with Nike. Okay, guys, I thought men were afraid of commitment.
That is very true. Involves that much money.
Exactly. Well, we don't know how much money yet, but initial estimates peg it at between $400 to $500 million. Mind you, this is for an athlete that's already making $44 million per year on endorsements. But I want to take a step back and just put this into context. This is a game changer, not just for LeBron James, but for the whole sports industry. We're not just talking about Nike signing up another athlete to try to sell more shoes or to promote more apparel, but we are talking about the merger, technically, of two corporations, that is the Nike Corporation, as well as the LeBron James business empire. A lot of analysts are also saying that it is safe at this stage to assume that the deal, because of the deal, that Nike will be giving LeBron James a bigger hand in the running of its business as far as this particular segment is concerned. And likewise, it also means that it will be pouring in more resources for him. That means marketing, that means production, that means operational resources, and really backing him financially on this.
This really brings together, the business of sports. We have athletes really knowing how to monetize their talents and their popularity.
Yeah, so just to take a couple of years back, 2003, I remember that when he was 17 years old, he signed a deal that guaranteed $90 million. Imagine having $90 million guaranteed at the age of 17. Now, if you were LeBron James right now, as Regina mentioned, only 20 million of his net worth comes from his salary. 40 million of that comes into endorsements. And it really comes into the idea of sports really is becoming a business of image. It's becoming a business of brand marketing and brand management. And the LeBron James brand is becoming very strong. It's akin to the Michael Jordan brand right now as well.
Oh, wow.
So now what you're seeing right now with Nike, it's also very, very important for them because basketball is clearly their third largest standalone revenue segment. Basketball shoes, your Air Jordans, your LeBrons, any type of merchandise that they brought. The NBA is a big money maker. In fact, it's one of the biggest money makers, perhaps among U.S. sports. And if you look at it right now, I mean, just behind running, which as we all know, has taken a massive, massive uptick in popularity as well. And sportswear, Nike, of course, becoming more of a lifestyle brand. But when LeBron James does retire, becomes a lifestyle, his participation in Nike basketball could go into sportswear and lifestyle. People wanting to remember the heyday of LeBron James, or some people might say Michael Jordan version 2.0.
Yeah, it was very interesting though that because when Nike took him on when he was 70 years old, and this was also that was also like an investment risk, right? Because you didn't know then if this guy was really gonna reach for the stars.
Yeah, he was pretty much just a physical, for lack of a better term, he was a freak of nature. I mean, he was 6'9". He was that big. He moved that nimbly. I mean, they already saw that this man had the potential to surpass. Now, a lot of analysts, sports analysts, this is for another type of show per se, might say that he hasn't really reached the levels of Michael Jordan. But in terms of marketing, in terms of his impact on the business of sport and Nike as well, it's pretty clear.
And I think what's interesting for me on that chart is that basketball, as you pointed out, just the third biggest revenue generator. But again, this could be a byproduct of Nike. Could be Nike's way of saying, listen, we're upping our game on this front. Remember, over the last year, or even the last couple of years, they have been engaged in really fierce bidding wars with brands like Adidas as well as Under Armour. They lost Kevin Durant to Under Armour, and now, of course, this is maybe perhaps their way, because this has never happened before. This is the first time that Nike has agreed to sign an athlete on for a lifetime deal. And again, like I say, it represents more of a business merger rather than a corporation signing an athlete just for a few number of years, which actually, when you think about it, puts everything in perspective.
It's one of the best annuities you could ever sign. Oh, to be LeBron James, some people might say.
All right, thanks guys. When we return, 100 million people are set to vote in one of the biggest democracies in the world.